Hare Krishna. We are in the verse number 5 of the 4th chapter of Bhagwat Gita as it is. In the previous verse, Arjun had asked a wonderful question to Krishna. He said, Krishna, Vivaswan was born long, long ago, millions of years ago, and you are born just recently. So how can I understand that you taught this philosophy to the sun god Vivaswan? Now in today's verse, Krishna is going to give answer to Arjun in a very interesting way. Please watch the video till the end. And in today's shlok, we are going to get the answers of the following questions. Question number 1. What is the difference between a living entity and the Supreme God? Question number 2. What is the definition of Achyut? Now first, let us recite the shloka and then we will start understanding the shloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bahuni me vyatatani Janmani tava charjuna Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Natvam Vetha Parantapa. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava charjuna Tanya aham Veda Sarvani Natvam Vetha Parantapa. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the personality of God said, Bahuni, many, me, of mine, Vyatitani, have passed, Janmani, births, Tava, of yours, Cha, and also, Arjuna, O Arjuna, Tani, all those, Aham, I, Veda, do know, Sarvani, all, Na, not, Tvam, yourself, Vetha, no, Parantapa, O subduer of the enemy. The blessed Lord said, many, many births, both you and I, have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. O subduer of the enemy. Krishna said that many, many births, both you and I have passed, but I can remember all of them. You cannot. O subduer of the enemy. Now let us read the purport of Srila Prabhupada and understand this beautiful shlok in a very wonderful manner. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada says that in Brahma Samhita, we have the information of many, many incarnations of the Lord. It is stated there, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Brahmaji says, I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, without any beginning, although expanded into unlimited forms, still he is the same original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually understood by the best Vedic scholars, but they are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. Here Brahmaji is saying that such eternal, blissful, and all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually understood by the Vedic scholars, because the Vedic scholars, they study the Vedas. But the same form of Krishna, the Supreme Personality, appears in front of the pure devotees. Srila Prabhupada explains that in the Vedas, it is said that the Lord, although one without a second, nevertheless manifests himself in innumerable form. Prabhupada says that Lord is Advait, but he appears in innumerable form, sometimes in Matsya avatar, sometimes in Kurm avatar, sometimes as Narasimha Bhagwan, Lord Rama, Parashuram. So these are the different forms of the Supreme Lord. But he is Advait, which means there is no difference within his soul and the body, though he appears into many forms. He is like the Vaidurya stone, which changes color yet still remains one. Prabhupada explains, like diamond shows, reflects all the 7 colors of the rainbow, but diamond is untouched, it is pure white. All those multiple forms are understood by the pure, unalloyed devotees. The multiple forms of Krishna are enjoyed and worshipped by the devotees, but not by simple study of the Vedas, where it is mentioned Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakta, which means that the Vedic scholars who want to know the Lord by reading the Vedas, they also cannot see. They can understand the Lord by reading Vedas, but Lord appears in front of his devotees. Devotees like Arjun are constant companions of the Lord. And whenever the Lord incarnates, whenever he appears, the associate devotees also come in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. And Arjun is one of those devotees. And in this verse, it is understood that some millions of years ago, when Lord Krishna spoke Bhagwat Gita to the sun god Vivaswan, Arjun, in a different capacity, was also present. And that is why Krishna said, both of us, you and I, have taken many births. You don't remember, but I remember. Srila Prabhupada says that the difference between the Lord and Arjun is this, that the Lord remembered all the incidences, whereas Arjun could not remember. This is the difference between the part and parcel living entity and the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada says that Arjun is addressed here as Parantap, which means the mighty hero, who could subdue his enemies, who could capture his enemies, who could conquer his enemies, but he is unable to recall what happened in his various past births. Srila Prabhupada says that a living entity, however great he may be in the material estimation, can never equal the Supreme Lord. If Arjun, who is Parantap, who is Gunakesh, who is Dhananjay, cannot be equal to Supreme Lord, then what can be our position? Prabhupada says, anyone who is a constant companion of the Lord is certainly a liberated person, but he cannot be equal to the Lord. The Lord is described in the Brahma Samhita as infallible, which means Achyut. Achyut means who never forgets himself, even though he is in the material platform, the material world. Like when Krishna is the charioteer of Arjun, Arjun still addressed him as Achyut because Arjun is his pure devotee. And just because Krishna has become his charioteer, Arjun doesn't forget that who Krishna is, and that is why he addressed him as Achyut. Therefore, the Lord and the living entity can never be equal in all respects. Even if the living entity is as liberated as Arjun, Arjun's position is so high that Krishna himself is accompanying him. But still, Arjun can also not be in the same level as Krishna is. Prabhupada says, Arjun is a devotee of the Lord, but still he forgets the nature of the Lord. But by the divine blessings of Krishna, a devotee can at once understand the infallible condition of the Lord, whereas a non-devotee or a demon cannot understand this transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada says that Bhagwat Gita cannot be understood by demonic brains. Here, it's important for us to remember that the acts which were performed by Krishna millions and millions of years before, Arjun could not remember, despite the fact that both Krishna and Arjun are eternal in nature. So, we come to know from here that a living entity forgets everything due to his change of body. But the Lord remembers because he does not change his Satchidanand body. He is Advait, which means there is no difference between his body and he himself, that is the soul. And everything in relation to him is spiritual, whereas the conditioned soul is different from his material body. Who are the conditioned souls? The conditioned souls are the living entities, having the material body and the soul, which is Krishna's part. That is why we are known as part and parcel embodied in the material body. And because the Lord's body and his self are identical, that is same, his position is always different from the ordinary living entity. Even when he descends, even when he incarnates to this material platform. So we need to understand very clearly the difference between the living entity and the Supreme Personality God. The Supreme Personality God does not have any distinction, any difference within his body and soul. But the ordinary human being has a material body and has the spirit soul, who he is himself, which is the part of Krishna. So the soul is same as Krishna, but embodied in the material body, which is a combination of 5 elements, that is earth, fire, air, sky and water. Srila Prabhupada says that because the Lord's body and self are identical, his position is always different from the ordinary living entity. And we must always understand that no human being, no matter how high he is in his position, can never be the same as Krishna. And now Srila Prabhupada concludes his purport by saying that the demons cannot understand, cannot believe the transcendental nature of the Lord because they are envious of the Lord. I am very sure that now all of us, we know the difference between a living entity and the Supreme Lord Krishna. And one more very important thing, we have learnt that any amount of material wealth, power and success is nothing in front of Krishna. Krishna is Bhagavan because he is the master of 6 opulences. He is all beautiful. He is all intelligent. He is all powerful. He possesses all wealth. He is all famous no matter whatever he does. And he is completely detached from everything. Krishna's body and soul are same, completely spiritual, whereas we are spirit soul embodied in material body. This is why we forget everything once we leave this material body and enter into a new body. But Krishna remembers everything because he never changes his body, no matter whenever he appears in his different incarnations. Srila Prabhupada says that Brahmaji in Brahma Samhita says that Vedic scholars come to know about Krishna by reading the Vedic literature. But the pure devotees like Arjun enjoy the association of Krishna. This is the power of unalloyed loving devotion of Krishna. Prabhupada says that the demonic people never enjoy the presence of Krishna, and Krishna himself will explain to us more about it in the next verse. I thank Srila Prabhupada for making us understand the most secretive knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and I thank my Shiksha Guru Hari Mohan Prabhuji for guiding me continuously in my all spiritual endeavors. I thank all of you for listening to the Bhagavad Gita shloks so attentively. Please write your understanding and realizations in the comment section. And in case you haven't subscribed my channel, so please subscribe and share it with others. Now we shall meet the next week with a new shlok. Till then, keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and be happy. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.